but it's time. Thank you for trusting me to do my big old spiel and get us here into the meat of the presentation, the beauty, the brains, all the good things that are going to be coming to us from Dycee and Sarah today. We're going to do a quick, really cool transition where we get into their slideshow because it works better in Google.
Hello. Thank you. Awesome. Okay.
First of all, thank you so much, Christy.
Yes, Christy.
This is very exciting. What she does here is really very, very cool. We're very, very lucky for it. All right. If you don't know me, my name is Dycee Wildman. As Christy said, I am the co-founder of the Decline Film Festival, which is happening August 16th and 17th, and you should definitely come. I'm also a filmmaker in town, and this is Sarah.
I'm Sarah Saturday. I'm a musician, performance artist, generally a big supporter of the arts here in Nashville. You probably see me at every festival.
Everything.
Volunteering.
Always.
So we're here to talk about trust.
And all right, first of all, in our first act of trust, we need 5 volunteers.
We'll stand here until we get 5.
Jack?
We actually have to have 5.
Sky.
All right, let me write this down.
2. Oh. What's your name? Mark. Jack. Sky. Mark.
Come on, guys.
Beth.
Sky. Jack.
What's your name? Dylan. All right, excellent.
Beth.
Sky, you want to start?
Dylan.
Okay.
Sky. Come on up.
You're going to step right behind this little curtain here. There are instructions there for you, and we will swap you out with the next person on the list shortly. This little act of trust that we are asking for you, it comes with a little act of trust that we are expecting in return, and we'll reveal all at the end of this.
Okay, so let's take a quick trip down memory lane. Okay, the year was 2009. After many years touring in pop-punk bands, I had started a solo recording project called Gardening Not Architecture, nod to Brian Eno, in 2007. I had a vision for this project being multimedia, more of an experience than a concert, and in my heart of hearts, I wanted it to be collaborative. I loved collaborating, but I found it very difficult because I had a hard time trusting other people. I always ended up taking back the reins at some point. It was too scary to fully trust other people, and I felt safest when I was in total control. I desperately wanted help and connection, but simultaneously was terrified of asking for help and letting go of control. So this push and pull insecurity meant that I had a lot of collaborations, but I had a lot of falling outs in the first few years of G&A. This progressed to the point that by 2012, I was isolated from friends and family and community in a self-imposed survival mode. I was living full-time on the road as a starving artist, and I was trying to prove basically to myself that I didn't need anyone. Woof. Thankfully, I finally hit a wall in 2012, shortly after moving here, and I sought professional help. I began working on my trust issues in therapy that year, which I think is very important to bring up in conversations about trust, because mental health plays a crucial role in all things, but especially trust and collaboration. So after a couple years of working on these issues and settling down into my new life in Nashville, I decided I was ready to really go after the kind of collaboration that I'd always wanted for G&A. My first act of trust was posting on the East Nashville listserv.
All right, before I met Sarah, that was me. And I was like coming off of a really long run in coffee and freelance. And when I was a freelance filmmaker, that sounds very exciting, kind of similar to the traveling around the world as a starving artist thing. It sounds maybe a little better. I made a lot of music videos for a lot of friends. I learned a lot about my creative process and my creative voice and what it meant to work with clients. But ultimately, I was feeling really stifled. I was making a lot, but none of it was for me. And there wasn't any extra money to go around to explore and experiment. So in an act of trust in myself that I would still be an artist, even if that isn't how I paid the bills, I got a day job. And with that day job, which, great idea, side note. But with that day job came really an opportunity to say, I don't really want to make stuff for other people anymore. I really want to see what I'm making when I'm making stuff for myself. But then one day I got this email.
Okay, so it's 2014, and I had begun working on a new album. I had the idea to make a feature-length film to accompany the album, apparently channeling the same muse as Beyonce, whose 2016 Lemonade would come out a couple years later.
We did it first.
So we were brainstorming around the time that Beyonce was brainstorming. No big deal. But I knew I was going to need a lot of help, so here we go. I'm going to try using my new tools. I posted a message to the East Nashville listserv, which, if you weren't around during those days, this was the Facebook group before there was a Facebook group. And later that day, I got this email. No subject. From Jessica Malone.
Thank you, Jess.
She's here. To me, Dycee Wildman. Hi, Sarah. I saw your post on the listserv looking for film people. I'd like to recommend my friend Dycee Wildman. Here's her email. Hope it works out. Jessica, where are you? Thank you, Jessica. Little did Jessica know what she had just set into motion. I emailed Dycee right away, and we set up a day to meet a couple weeks later. At our meeting, we talked a little bit about everything, and we instantly clicked, which if you've ever spent more than 30 seconds with Dycee, you're like, I am clicking with you. I shared my crazy idea for making this album film thing, and she took a leap of trust and agreed to do it.
Speaking of trust.
Volunteer switch time.
Who's next on the list? Sky, great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jack is up next.
Jack, who welcome you behind the curtain. All right, so yeah, I showed up to this meeting at Holland House with no in my heart. I was like, I am busy. Making stuff for other people is hard. I don't think I want to do that anymore. But I know some people I can probably help this Sarah girl out, maybe. And then immediately, I was like 10 minutes in, I was like, I will sign over my life to you. What are we doing? Tell me I'm on the road. We will do it. And everything was off to the races. It was a whole new path and very exciting. All right, so we started building something new with so many people. We were expanding this universe, talking in structures that didn't exist yet, conceiving of options that none of us had ever tried before, and it continued to expand. We brought on more filmmakers, producers, actors, dancers, painters, creatives of every kind, invited into this fresh new kind of hive mind that we were building. And in the process, Sarah offered a lot of trust to everyone who participated. There were boundaries, there were clear expectations, but more than anything, there was trust. And trust was able to open a lot of doors of creativity that are normally kept closed because trust is hard. There was an atmosphere of possibility during the entire production process, which was almost an entire year. There was this elemental shift that every one of the creatives felt. As a result, there was just always amazing ideas flying around, and everyone felt really safe to share their ideas. Like, I was like, hey, what if I buried my lead actor alive? What if I wrote a story where at the end, this actress here has to fly away? And every harebrained idea I had was met with an open mind and some really creative ways of solving those very hard problems. The trust that Sarah was able to offer to us meant that we also trusted ourselves, and that's the best way to be creative. The trust was contagious.
So we know letting go of control is not easy for me. It's still something I'm working on. Asking for help is also not easy, and trusting is so hard. I was new to all of this at the time, so now it's 2015. And as we brought in more people to the collaboration, fear tried to tempt me back into my old controlling behaviors as a way to create that false sense of safety. If I don't control every single aspect, how do I know for sure that it's going to turn out okay? But with fossils, I got so much practice with trusting and letting go. And this project was a beast. I was recording an album while 3 different film crews were making their vignettes for the film, and we were also running a large-scale fundraiser with several events leading up to the premiere, including a gala at Reimer Gallery, RIP. It was a lot. The universe was really putting my newfound tools to the test. It was not perfect, nothing is perfect, And as we all know, in every collaboration or relationship of any kind, uncomfortability is inevitable. Fossils was no exception, with nearly 100 people working on the project. But because we had such a strong foundation of trust, we were able to work through anything uncomfortable that came up. So the result of the Fossils Trust experiment was twofold. One, an end product that was bigger and better than I ever could have come up with on my own. And two, an enjoyable, memorable journey that people still recall fondly. Whenever I run into someone who worked on fossils, they always reminisce about how special and fulfilling that project was for them, because it was their baby too. By nurturing a consistently trusting and safe creative environment over the course of a year, more than a year, we had earned the trust of those involved. Everyone was invested in the success of the project. In July 2015, we threw an album/film premiere party with nearly 200 of our closest friends. We all watched the movie together in the back of Crying Wolf, R.I.P. And then we danced all night with our silent disco headphones in celebration of what we had all accomplished together. Oh, dancing. Okay, volunteer swap time.
Jack,
Thank you so much. Mark, come on up.
Thank you so much. All right. So this idea of trust and how it's applied to art. One of my favorite things about being a filmmaker is how collaborative it is. You know, I can have an idea, I can write it, I can try to direct it, but really I'm bringing in so many other creatives to be a part of that. I'm dealing with wardrobe artists and actors and composers and all these people who are so excellent and amazing at what they do. And it would be really easy to try and put a stranglehold on what that looks like and decide that it has to fall in line with what I already have in my mind. But I'm smart enough to know that I don't have all the best ideas, no matter how long I've been doing this. And so I really try to trust that if I'm lucky enough to be working with the creatives that I get to work with all the time, that they're gonna bring something really special to the table. So if I'll open up a little bit of trust, and rather than telling my incredibly creative friend Nicole Lim that I need a monster and I need it to look exactly like this, I can just say, I need a monster, and see what beautiful, incredible thing that she's got in her mind that I never could have thought of before. And that opportunity to be surprised by the creativity of others is really so beautiful and so special. And it's really why I love making art. So what builds trust and collaboration?
So vulnerability, first and foremost. Trust requires vulnerability. It also requires boundaries, self-awareness, and discernment on the parts of everyone involved. I can't be vulnerable with everyone, but I can learn how to spot safe and supportive people. I can also be a safe and supportive person by maintaining my own boundaries and self-awareness, and allowing others to be themselves and share openly. Vulnerability takes courage. It's hard to share ideas at the risk of being judged or ridiculed. I can keep this in mind when others are sharing their ideas as well. This was a big shift for me. It may be tempting for me to immediately shut down an idea that I don't like. I'm just thinking about the idea. But the relationship needs to come first, and the ideas come second. So the best kinds of collaboration happen within the safety of true vulnerability.
And feeling safe is really important. You know, there are a lot of places where you can put yourself out there, but very few places where you can feel safe from competition and judgment and criticism. And it's a really beautiful thing when you can build that, when someone like Sarah can build a set and a creative environment. So you do feel that freedom that offers. When a safe place for artistic vulnerability is created, it's really safe to throw half-baked notions out and safe to explain why an idea isn't working, why it doesn't align with the unifying vision. That's okay. Thoughtful critique no longer feels threatening because no one has to worry that trust has been lost. Trust is there. Now you just get to have a little bit of fun with it.
The fear of being judged has caused me to keep ideas to myself more times than I can count. Especially before I started learning about myself in therapy, I was terrified of being judged or making mistakes. I was terrified of being perceived as wrong or stupid. Learning to trust in collaboration means finding the courage to speak up, to share ideas, and know that if someone judges my idea, it does not mean they're judging me. That was a big one for me. But this has to start with me. I need to practice non-judgment with others, keeping an open mind, and offering others the experience of sharing without being judged or ridiculed. We've heard the idea that you should be the person you want to find. I have found that when I am practicing non-judgment, open-mindedness, I tend to attract non-judgmental and open-minded people.
All right, so how does this apply to life? My mom always used to say that trust is the opposite of fear. And that's a really interesting philosophy for moving through the world. When fear pops up, this idea can help. When something scary pops up, you can use trust to save you. Trust in yourself, trust in community, trusting that when things go wrong, there will be something valuable to learn from it. Trust can neutralize the fear.
Trust in the bigger picture. Trust in myself and my relationships and my creative collaborations is the key to so much of what makes life beautiful, but it doesn't just stop there. I need to have a sense of trust in things outside of myself, the bigger picture, if you will, in order to live my life from a place of hope and inspiration rather than fear and hopelessness. So it's been really important for me to practice trusting that there are good people with good intentions in the world who are working to balance out the bad. Nature knows what it's doing, and it's constantly evolving and healing itself. And things will turn out okay in the end, even if I don't know when the end will come and I might not be around to see it. I can trust, for example, the fact that the universe has been successfully rebalancing its expansion rate with the sum total of all different forms of energy in it for 13.8 billion years. The universe is doing just fine without my help. Trusting the bigger picture gets me out of my ego and my tiny little storyline and gets me into a place of being useful to the people in the world around me.
And speaking of the bigger picture, you can imagine how these ideas could be applied to society at large. What would a society built on fear look like? Well, you assume people are out to get me, people want to take from me, I have to look out for myself because no one else will, as compared to a society built on trust, where it trusts that people will offer a hand, people will make a thoughtful compromise, people will act in the best interest of the whole and share what is needed when possible. Trust can be transformative. So, but art is hard, and when you pour yourself into something, things can get really messy. Things cannot always be easy, and people will not always get along. Sometimes even when everyone has the best of intentions, conflict and discomfort can arise. But bringing trust into healthy confrontation opens the door for growth. I, as a person, just happen to be a little more comfortable with confrontation than most people. I think it's great. I love some constructive feedback. But trust is really important in that. It has to feel safe. But if I can trust that you know that I didn't intend to disappoint you, that if I can trust that you know that I can learn, trust that you and I both agree that perfection was never an option, and so that's not the scale. And trust that you will make room for me to take in this new information and use it to be better both in life and in art. When that feedback is offered in a trusting environment, then suddenly what could have been a friendship or project ending disagreement or conflict suddenly just becomes an opportunity to be vulnerable with somebody that you trust and intimately grow beside someone who cares about you.
Assume the best has become one of my favorite cheesy slogans through the years. I often poke fun at myself when I say it, but I have to be honest that I take it very seriously. I have lived so much of my life assuming the worst. The worst about myself and the outcome of my life, the worst about other people's intentions and abilities, and in general, just expecting that things were not going to work out. So this paradigm shift from assuming the worst to assuming the best has been a major contributor in my ability to create, to trust, and collaborate. If I assume the best in you and treat you as such, it's going to inspire confidence in you. And that means you're going to show up with your best ideas and the energy to see them through. You're also going to hopefully assume the same of me, that I'm bringing my best to the table and that I care just as much as you do about what we are doing together.
And obviously, not everyone's going to deserve your trust. You have to trust your gut on that. Sometimes people are going to look out for themselves. They don't have your best interests in heart. And so do trust yourself. But when possible, if you can interact with people and come from a place of trust over fear, a lot of magic can happen from that.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
Beth, come on up, Beth. Ooh. Da-da-da. Thank you. All right. Okay. So now it was 2017. So a couple years had gone by since Fossils came out. I had learned a lot more about trust in relationships in therapy and in practice. And I had been doing a lot of film composing during this time and learning how to collaborate in whole new ways. I was experimenting with how to incorporate this new world of film into G&A's live shows. In 2017, I recorded a new single and, of course, called in my Fossils crew to help me make a music video for that song. And then I sat on the song and the video for 2 more years until the muse struck again. So the idea seemed simple: turn myself into a projection screen. I would play the music live inside the video for each song. This time it was just Dycee and me collaborating without bringing anyone else in like we had before on Fossils or any of the other projects we'd worked on together. So it was a much more intimate trust experiment. Neither of us was exactly sure how to pull off this idea. Usually this is what Dycee gets at the beginning.
You can see how we got here.
Because of the trust we'd established, in these last however many years since working together on Fossils, we knew it was safe to just dive right in. So it only took us about a month to put this show together, and it premiered in May 2019 at the Cobra, not RIP.
My husband, Eric, always says that when Sarah and I get together, it's like 2 little kids holding hands and just like spinning around, and it just gets faster and faster and faster. And that is really kind of how this project felt. Every single thing we said was like, yeah, maybe let's try that. Let's turn you into a projection screen. Sure, why not? We can make that happen. We had to hold hands and jump into the unknown, allowing ourselves to build something that neither of us had ever envisioned before. Trusting the whole time that she was not going to let go of my hands and leave me flying to the floor. We tested this theory many times between projects like Absence of Me, a short film of mine called How Many Spiders, and countless events, parties, gatherings, etc.
And we were super excited about the Absence of Me project and all the possibilities that it contained, and I was ready to fully re-enter the world as a solo multimedia performance artist, which was how G&A had originally begun. And then a pandemic hit, which I feel like is the tagline on so many stories now. The effect of the pandemic on my trust was profound. I lost faith and hope in a way that I had not experienced since before I started my recovery and healing journey in 2012. So I came face to face with some pretty familiar demons who had been mostly quiet up to that point. I shared these feelings with Dycee, and it turned out she was experiencing a lot of the same things. So in 2021, we decided we wanted to tell the story of this internal struggle. So we started writing the story for my next show, which would eventually be titled Voyage, in 2021. We knew that this was going to be our biggest act of faith and trust so far. It was going to be bigger and more complex than anything we'd ever done. It was going to push both of us outside our comfort zones in all kinds of ways. We would need to trust our worth, our abilities, our intentions, our motives, everything. And most of all, we were going to really need to trust each other. Making this show together was the culmination of all the lessons we had learned in collaboration and trust since 2014 when we first met.
Yes, so we're being vulnerable again with each other and inviting each other and so many other people into this creative practice and into the process. Because we knew this model worked really well, we were able to start Voyage from this really strong place of trust and that hive mind that I was talking about before. Right away, we knew people that we could assume the best about, and we began opening it up and inviting people in. It really felt like expanding this bubble that we were practicing within, just with the 2 of us. One thing that I really loved we did in this process is, as we were still in the writing, we brought in producers and my DP, Caleb Dirks, and a photographer, Danielle Shields, and Kelly Dirks, and we rented a cabin out in Clarksville, one of them, somewhere nearby. And we had a little sleepover where we went on a hike, and then we all brainstormed and we listened to the song, and we got this like big Post-it note and wrote ideas. And it meant that everybody was in the room, in the process from the very beginning. And like Sarah was saying with Fossils, people felt like they had a stake in what was happening. It was this group project in a way that people don't often get the opportunity to work. It's much more usually top down, and this never felt that way. We invited everyone to help sculpt and create what would become Voyage.
And this is me running as fast as I can.
Oh, that's
up
a disco
hill.
ball. Yeah.
And there's our disco ball test results. Okay. Volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
Volunteers. Let's go.
All right, who's next? Beth, thank you very much. Dylan?
Dylan. All right. Okay, so trust entered the Voyage collaboration in a whole new way. We each wanted to try several things we had always wanted to try, but maybe had been a little too afraid to try, so we had to practice trusting ourselves. For me, it was using dance in my performance for the first time ever, co-writing music with other people for the first time ever, writing a play-ish thing, learning new software and tools to be able to pull off the final thing on stage. Dycee was dealing with creating and editing video content not only for dual projection, but also for me to be able to interact with on stage. So all of this required a major leap of faith in ourselves, trusting ourselves and our own experiences that we were capable of expanding in these ways. In August of 2023, after 2 years in production, that included workshopping the concept in the Brave New Works Lab at Oz Arts, an artist residency at Coop Gallery, and showing a sneak preview at the Kindling Arts Festival. And all of these organizations, really gave us the chance to collaborate with other people and get that feedback, that honest feedback that helped us, crystallize the final idea. We premiered Voyage with a 3-night run at Dark Horse Theater. Once again, the investment of trust paid off. Our community showed up in droves. We felt immensely proud of the final product. And here we are.
So trust leads to exploration, and exploration leads to growth. As an artist, we have to trust that not everyone is competition, trusting that there are enough cool opportunities to go around. We don't need to be suspicious of next generations and the weird stuff they're doing. It's okay to seek out what younger artists are playing with and trusting that it's all part of the conversation. Just because I've been doing this for decades does not mean that I know best. And it's not about new and old. It's about expanding the conversation and a give and take. It can be easy as one ages to feel fearful of what's new and easy to stay stagnant and lean on what's comfortable. But trusting your own experience, your own ability to navigate, trust your own voyage thus far. One way that Sarah and I try and practice this is we go on a lot of little art dates. And we'll go do anything. We'll go see a puppet show. We'll go see weird ambient music. We'll see Jack dance around in a tutu, whatever it is. We're constantly trying to pour creativity back into ourselves to, just make the cocktail even better. It's really been a very fruitful part of our voyage, and we're infinitely curious about what you are making.
So,
what did you make? Dylan,
Dylan, you can wrap it up, actually.
Okay,
Should we explain it? Do you need to wrap up?
Yeah.
Are you done?
Do you have any last things you want to do?
Okay.
You're good? Come on out. Okay, so what have we made here today? So this is what our volunteers saw when they went back there. They got a little message. Thank you for volunteering. This is your canvas. These are your tools. In the spirit of collaboration, add as much or little as you would like, and be fearless. So here's where we started. Let's see where we ended up. Oh,
y'all made it very cute. I was ready to get a little mustache or something. Y'all were very nice.
Awesome. Thank you to our volunteers. It really does end up being, you just never know how it's going to end up when you start. All right. Okay. Q&A. We're already there. Are we okay on time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, great. All right. Always talk faster than we think we're going to. Jack.
What's next?
We actually have plans to rent a cabin in September and start brainstorming the next show.
Yeah, Absence of Me was 1 projector, and then Voyage is 2 projectors. So, how many projectors can we get in a room? That's the next question.
Yeah, I'm already working on learning some new different kinds of technology and software that I want to try to bring in, because that is the technology side of this is very exciting for me. There's so much you can do, and how can you do it in a way that maybe other people aren't using it? Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of it too. But yeah, we're going to get together in September, and then hopefully not wait so long between Voyage and the next one. But yeah.
you talk a little bit about
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about the aspect of dance that you brought into, and do you have a dance background, and what inspired you to do that, what that process was like?
Yeah. No, I do not have a dance background. I am not a good dancer. And dance, like there are things like dancing and drumming. There's these things where I'm like, oh, if I could do it all again, I would have started that when I was 5, you know. And dancing, I think we talked about it in Fossils.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we brought in a dancer for Fossils, but you didn't dance.
No.
But you were like, oh, isn't choreography so cool? Maybe other people can dance. So you were like dipping your little toe in. And then there was a music video that we actually never ended up finishing or like starting because I don't remember why, life happened. But you were like, I think maybe I want to dance.
Yeah.
And then it never, so yeah, it's always been kind of bubbling there.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. But then we, again, trust and collaboration. So we brought in Joy Ware, this choreographer in town. She's incredible.
So talented.
And she totally got the project. And so she choreographed something that made sense for me and my body and what I could do, but still looked like, you know, oh, I'm actually really doing a dance. And I can't say I'm hooked on it because it is very uncomfortable, but the feeling of like moving your body in that way is, oh God, it's like such a release, even if it's awkward. I can do it right now if you want. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. This is something that Sarah and I talk about a ton, and I think it's really important as artists to not feel like your art has to be paying your bills for that to be true. And so that was a really hard thing to learn, and like one of the most important things I've ever learned. And so that's where a lot of the balance comes is my day job has absolutely nothing to do with my identity at all. I don't think about it when I leave. I enjoy the little people that I get to go and work with, and they pay my little bills. And the rest of the time I'm thinking about my film festival, I'm thinking about projects with Sarah, and really like making sure that I'm compartmentalizing as much as possible. It does require having a job that allows you to do that, obviously, but I think I don't think that how you pay your bills needs to be who you are in the end. And it would be so cool if it was. Oh my gosh, please, you know, if that's out there, call me. But I think it's okay it was a big learning. It was a big step forward to understand that maybe my creativity was just mine, and it's something that I could share with other people as I chose, as compared to something that had to be at work for me all the time.
Yeah, I think the big aha moment for me was my therapist. Big plug for therapy. She was like, what did she say? It really changed my life. She was like, don't make your baby work to to feed itself. Art being my baby. And she kind of was like, you need to be a mother to your art. And what's a good mother do? A good mother provides for her baby so that her baby only has to worry about being a baby. And at that time, like I said, I'd been living on the road and I was doing the starving artist thing, and it was like, oh God, everything was painful. And I didn't enjoy it. My inner children were having a terrible time. It was awful. And so this idea of like, oh, provide for my art as if it's my baby, that I'm like, so that it can do whatever it wants to do. And as soon as I made that switch, and same thing, getting a job where like I can cut out at a certain time. I'd had jobs in the music industry and things where like you're working 24/7. I needed a lot of boundaries, and I needed to really find that thing where I could like not take it personally that I was, you know, doing this mundane thing. Like I just needed to not really care, do a good job, go home. But like almost instantly when I made that switch, this like floodgates open. Something, I think it was my inner child, was like, oh, thank God I don't have to go to work today, you know? And I went to work, and that part of me got to be like, I mean, it was wild. The change was really fast. It didn't even take that long before it was like, oh my God, just like the channel was open. And so sometimes it's been tempting. I mean, that was 12 years ago. It was right before we met. Sometimes it's been tempting to be like, well, maybe I should identify by my career and da-da-da-da-da. And I have made some changes to be able to make a little more money and have more flexibility and things like that, and played with it a little bit. But as long as I stay focused on like, this job is serving a very important purpose, so I'm grateful for it. And just stay in the gratitude of like, thank you, job, for making it possible for me to do all this crazy stuff. That was a big shift.
So who's paying for the diapers for the baby?
Who's paying for the diapers?
Do you? Yes, you, or you find sponsors. If you do, how?
I am paying for the diapers for the baby. Yeah, I mean, I'm not able to fully fund this stuff. And we have a lot of trust and collaboration, but I really try very hard to pay everyone like full price for what they're doing, especially if they are full-time artists and this is what they do full-time. So, there's always a budget, there's always a savings. I have people that are like members on my website that donate like $1 a month and stuff like that. And then when it's a big enough project, we've done fundraisers. I did a fundraiser for Voyage, and just try to find ways to, ask for money, which is always uncomfortable, but like make it, an investment for people. Because such a small percentage of artists ever really truly make a living off what they're doing. And I think that's what makes a lot of people stop. They just like kind of give up. And it's like, no, 98% of us need to have day jobs. That's fine. Like we're the majority, So I'm happy to buy the diapers. Anyone else?
As a creative that has a really tough time giving up control.
Yeah.
What do you think helps most to like start that conversation with other people? How do you say that? Like,
yeah.
I know you want to collaborate. I know you want to work together, and I want to do that too. But it's really hard for me to be like, what if something goes wrong?
I know.
What I mean? So yeah.
It's very scary.
Yes.
It's honestly a lot of like internal like affirmations. It really is like, this is going to be fine. And the way that my first attempt at this was fossils, and it worked. And so I think what I've just done is I've always had a clear idea in my head to a point, and then I bring it to the other people or the other person, and then from that point on, I have to have that like stern, loving conversation with my little inner teenager who's the boss, and say, no, we're going to listen. And like actually kind of make it fun to be like, I actually don't want to give you any ideas and don't want to tell you what to do at all. Like even more, be like, I'm not going to actually tell you what you should do, and try to just see what people do with no guidance. It's hard.
One piece of that I think is like, if you're working with people that you, like I just like still can't believe Sarah answers the phone when I call. Like I'm like, when you're working with people that you're so inspired by already, then you're like, what do you want? What is that? Tell me what you're gonna do. And that helps so much. And there's so much talent in this city that really makes it an exciting thing to let go of control, because some people have amazing things that they're doing.
And trusting their taste, like trusting someone else's taste. That's another thing. Like, when I'm in my ego, I'm like, I know what's cool. I know what looks good. I know how this should look in the end. And being like, wait, maybe I don't know what's cool. Like, honestly. And just trusting other people's experiences and tastes and their perspectives of what's cool. And then it's just sort of like a little bit of a challenge, internal. Just be like, let's see where this goes. Does that answer?
What's that?
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. I think sometimes people do get frustrated that I give very little direction. Often.
It's a little scary, but it's fun.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
So you've mentioned a pretty extensive healing journey, and you've mentioned therapy a lot. Were there any other healing modalities that you tapped into along this journey?
Oh my gosh. So many. Therapy is like the number one thing, and it was fine. It takes a minute to find a good therapist and one that you're like clicking with and who understands what you're going through. So, I fell into this one even though I've been trying therapy before. It was a little mix of like, oh, I need to hit that like kind of rock bottom place of like, oh, I'm desperate to get better. I can't keep living my life like this. Plus Tina, my therapist. But she was a mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapist, and so mindfulness meditation was like prescribed to me. And that is probably maybe one of the biggest things. I think that has physically changed my brain is mindfulness meditation. And it doesn't have to be a ton, it doesn't have to be crazy, like it can be 5 minutes. Thich Nhat Hanh is one of my favorite teachers of mindfulness. And all he does is just have you just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And that practice, like I really do think it changed my brain, because it creates this distance between what's happening and my reaction to what's happening. It gives me this space of pause, which I think really is getting me into like, I geek out on this. We could probably just get coffee. It gets me into my frontal cortex. I'm out of my like survival place in my brain. So I can be like, okay, what's actually discernment? Like what's actually happening? Am I actually in danger? Is this person really, So meditation has been huge. And then, I have a lot of family history stuff that I've had to face And I've used 12-step recovery for that. And a lot of looking into like adult child, inner children, family systems, that kind of thing has been really helpful too. But honestly, therapy and meditation, like, yeah, that's the pill.
And a lot of that really made its way on into the performance for Voyage.
Yes.
That's a big part of what that story is.
Meeting those parts of the self.
And maybe doing a little dance with them. I don't know, maybe.
Hi. For competition, I'm really competitive. How do you kind of like stifle that within yourself and not think of other people as like a threat?
It's a really good question. And I do think it's like a constant thing. And I think culturally, competition is very present, and it's really popular to try and rank things, and you want to be at the top. And I think for me, just like getting older and feeling more comfortable in who I am, and it has let me not feel like I need to explain that to other people and convince them that I'm the best. Like I'm good with it. I don't want to be, but it was, I think, like literally just getting older. It's still it's so much a part of how we think about society in general that it's not an easy one.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, in your 20s, you're like still trying to figure out kind of who you are, and you kind of need to look around and see what other people are doing to figure that out. But, you know, that quote, comparison is the thief of joy, that has really helped me. And don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides. That's really helped me, because you're just like, we're all faking it on social media, and, you know, you don't really know what's going on with someone. So, and then just, this one's really hard for me, but like, there's enough to go around. There's like enough money, there's enough success, there's enough of everything to go around. It's not like this scarcity, getting out of like that scarcity mentality, which it's just really hard. So therapy is my answer for everything. No, I'm just kidding. Cool.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy.